Today we're going to start a new series. We're actually going to be posting some videos now about debunking some fitness industry myths. We're going to cover supplementation, bro science, gym science, training tips that shouldn't be away from, stuff that people say that really isn't accurate. The first one we're going to start off with on supplementation actually is creatine. And I can tell you, out of all the supplementation questions I've had over my 20 years of doing this, the biggest question I've always been asked is surrounding creatine as a supplement. First of all, creatine is not an anabolic steroid. The molecules of creatine in no way resemble that of a molecule of an anabolic steroid. Creatine is a natural occurring substance. It occurs in your body through consumption of meats and fish. You're going to store about 95% of your creatine in your muscles, with the other 5% spread out through your brain, gut, liver, and kidneys. Now, with that 95%, the molecules of creatine do a really good job of attracting water into the muscle groups. This is where the myth of bloat comes in, right? Is that water pulling into the muscles helps with hydration, strength, lactic acid buildup. It just helps with overall strength progression. But people tend to think it causes bloat, especially if they do a loading phase, and we'll get towards that at the end. But that's just water being pulled into the muscles to help them perform better. It's not really bloat. And in relation to weight gain in general, with creatine, it can happen over time, but it's generally because you've increased muscle mass through strength gains, not through fat gains, okay? So that's where the weight gain generally takes place with creatine. It's not a fat burner. It can help you have more energy to burn fat, but it is not a fat burner. It does not produce fat. Now, the bigger question that people talk about is the dosage of creatine. Now, this is all over the place, okay? Now, I'm going to give you what I have used for my training as well as my athletes over decades. I usually tell males 5 grams on training days and females 3.5 grams on training days. You do not absorb all of the creatine. And there's mixed numbers depending on the blends that you use and the absorbent rates of each creatine. You would have to research those individually of the brand that you take to find that out. The one thing I will tell you to stay away from is any type of mixed blend creatines. Stick only to creatine monohydrate. Everything else with some special blend or some really weird marketing logo on the side, just stay away from. Creatine monohydrate in its purest form is the best bang for your buck when in talking about creatine consumption. Now, when we talk about a loading phase, I'm not one that ever needed or believed in a loading phase of creatine because it's such a, creatine also does not absorb into our system, it saturates. It takes time once it gets in your stomach to saturate and get throughout the system. So it's not really something that I ever did a loading phase with, and I still have produced really good results with creatine, as most individuals do. If you feel you need a loading phase, it's fine. In fact, I reached out to another trainer I highly respect, Eli, last night. We were talking about, I found this weird formula before I wanted to do this video. It was whatever your weight is in kilograms times 0.3 is how many grams of creatine you should be taking per week. And oddly enough, mine come out pretty similar to the grams of creatine that I currently take. I just never heard of that formula. I just want to add that in there. It's not a formula I believe in. It's not what I'm pushing. I just said I found it. And it kind of added up to the same thing. As always, guys, do your own research on this. Don't take bro science. Don't even take my word for it. Go look this stuff up. Research it on your own. Become your own library. Don't listen to other people unless it's somebody you trust. Bro science and gym science produces more negative results on athletes and clients and just general people than I've ever seen. I am a big fan of the creatine. I do promote it to my clients. And after this, if you're not taking it and you do your research, you'll find you should be.